Yeah, indeed. Actually, the numbers are really shocking. Not a surprise to many, for sure. And there's so many reasons to this. And today I want to maybe dive a little bit into why did it come this far, right? I mean, Germany used to be like the #1 country, engineers, thinkers. Germany was #1 on so many rankings. What the hell happened? And it's a little bit provocative, right? I mean, surely digital transformations are very cumbersome, are very difficult. There's a lot of countries, organizations that struggle. So particularly in Germany, I would like you to take that with a pinch of salt or with a wink of the eye, trying to maybe dive in a little bit, but of course it's not as black and white, and no, Germany is not going to lose out completely, but we'll look into this a little bit today. And very happy to also get some of you involved in the discussion, if we have time. So let's dive in. I just very quickly, so that you know why I'm talking to you and why I think maybe I have the justification to be talking about this topic. I've worked for several very large US tech companies that were very early on in the days where digital became a thing. I'm not sure if my microphone is working. Is it? Okay. Then I've worked within consulting. I work with a lot of German companies. I am half American, so I've got a few ideas as to what differences might be, and I will be comparing to the US, Germany to the US companies to German companies throughout the day, or throughout my little speech. Quick disclaimer, this is my observations. I am not a demographer, I'm not an economist, I haven't studied this, I don't look into culture a lot. But it is a strong interest of mine personally to understand what's going on, what maybe are the reasons, because I truly believe in order to change things, and yes, we do need to change, I think that's definitely something that is at the forefront of our minds. I think it's important to understand what happened or where are we coming from in order to better judge or to better move forward. Before we start, just one more thing. I highly doubt that anyone in this room has any question marks around why digital transformation is so crucial and so important. It's helping us in an ever more demanding world where consumers are expecting more, they want products and answers and solutions quicker, they want hyper-personalization. We need to be faster, we need to be quicker, we need to better understand our consumers, serve them better, and in a digitally globalized world, we're in competition with everybody all of a sudden. So digital transformation is not a nice to have, it's an absolute must have. And a lot of reports prove from very, very big research companies or consultancies that those companies that are at the forefront of digital transformation are sustainably more successful and they have better revenue numbers, better success numbers, pretty much on all of the KPIs we're looking at. Digitally adept companies that are really transforming, they tend to come out on top at the end of the day. So I think it's all about really making sure we get this right, and especially if we look at all of the money, resources, time invested into digital transformation. I mean, companies are investing billions of euros and dollars into this topic, and then they so often fail. So let's have a look at why they do. Quick question, I mean, the slide might kind of already give it away, but quick question into the audience. What would be like your main reason why you think digital transformations fail?
Management, ego, because they think they know stuff which they don't, lack of inter-company cooperation between the tech people who know stuff and the management, and everybody just sees his silo or her silo and doesn't collaborate, and they don't understand AI.
Okay, wow, one could imagine that we had basically a little deal going that he knew I would be calling on you, and actually you were looking at me and I thought I'll pick you, and that was amazing, thank you. What about you? I just saw you raising your hand. Oh, anybody else? Yes, please.
Risk averse,
Mhm. Yep, for sure. So the risk averseness maybe is a cultural topic somehow. What you just? Oh goodness. Yeah. Okay, great. You guys are awesome. I mean, I could literally ask all of you on stage. You pretty much know the answers. So actually, McKinsey, and I'm glad to be able to now quote a different consultancy because I just left Roland Berger end of August, so now I can quote the competition. They did a study and they found that 70% of the times, the reason why digital transformations fail is because of cultural issues, because of resistance to change, because of risk averseness. So a lot of the things that you've just mentioned are the actual reasons. So it's not technology. Sometimes yes, legacy systems. It's not the strategy. Sometimes yes, because of the lack of the vision and the lack of the coherent strategy, or the business and IT not talking fully with each other. But the main number one reason by far is actually culture. And since we've heard a lot about culture today, and we talked about cultures of companies and high-performing team cultures, etc., I want to talk about more the macroeconomic global sense of culture to help us better understand where this came from, and then to help us better understand how can we change this and how can we move forward. Any questions on that? Whilst I have a drink of water. Okay, great. Now, again, I think one of the things that happened is what Germany had been so good at for 100 years plus, being very precise, being very reliable, building super high quality products in product areas where lead times are many, many years, right? We're looking at our automotive industry, everything around engineering. Lead times and innovation cycles are extremely long and very, very timing. Germany, as I mentioned in my first few sentences, is extremely well known and at the forefront, made in Germany, it was made in Germany, thing. And countries all over the world we're looking towards are companies in awe and jealousy at some point, think that the engineering ingenuity is amazing. And I personally strongly believe there's quite a few other people agree, and there's some so showing is our strength in the past 100 years have now our barriers. We have so much focused on solving every problem before we take a product to market. We have been so much focused on perfectionism. We have been so much focused on product needs to be has high quality that it will withstand years and years of usage. That we've lost, or maybe did not learn enough the skills needed today, being agile, being iterative, being bold, being courageous, in order to try something, iterate, test it in the market. One of the other things is it's okay to fail, right? So, for example, in the US, you've got this fail fast culture, or this okay to fail culture. In Germany, not so much, right? In the US, if you say, oh, I failed a startup, two startups, both failed. In the West, people would say, oh, they've learned a lot. It's like, okay, yeah, next. Right? They fear of a failure itself. What about ego, like you mentioned? So I would love you to take away a little bit the things that have made us strong and great. They might kind of be slightly standing in the way of the type of skills we need when it comes to actually transforming the future. Question? So the question was how I see the responsibility of society in general, schools, governments, potentially, and corporations. And I would love to park that question because I think moderation, Moritz, you've got a similar question that you would like to ask the panel later. So is that okay? Because then we'll have more people to talk about that as well. So I don't want to paint a too dark picture, right? I just want us to understand where some of the things might be coming from. Because I know in the recent months we've been, and looking at political movements, I know a lot of people have been thinking a lot about, you know, how could it have come this far? And of course, it's not all that bad. And I'm an optimist, and I always tend to see the glass half full as opposed to half empty. But I think a lot of people need to start waking up and need to start taking at least baby steps in the right direction, because we are losing the race in regards to competitiveness. I don't know, who here has read the Mario Draghi report on European competitiveness that came out on Monday? Okay, excellent, excellent. I mean, he's painting a really, really black picture, and I will quote him a little bit later on as well. But I think there's definitely hope, right? And that's maybe my American half saying, yes, we can. Of course we can. And the overall, the capabilities are there. I just think we need to now activate some of these qualities that we have, and maybe with a little tweak in regards to going more into that direction of future orientation and collaboration and being bold and courageous a little bit more, but we'll go into that in a little bit more detail as well. I also brought a statistic. This is found this in the Handelsblatt beginning of the week from the Fraunhofer Institute. And they're talking about the innovative capacity of Germany, right? Now, there's so many statistics, and you quoted from earlier what Moritz had shown us, where Germany's number 58. There's all kinds of different lenses and perspectives that you can look at. So they looked at innovative capacity. Germany dropped out of the top 10, where it used to be up until recently. Switzerland is number 1. I guess it also probably depends, ranking Indexwert der Volkswirtschaftliche. It's always also in relation, right, to number of inhabitants. So you have to definitely look into this a little bit deeper. But I think the most important message is that Germany's dropped out of that top 10. Not so much who's on number 1, who's number 2, but that there's a downward trend. Now, I often myself talk about and hear other people talking about, yes, but the US, oh wow, they're so great in innovation. Actually, no, they're even behind Germany when it comes to innovative capacity. So what's going on there? And one of the things, and I will now quote Mario Draghi from his report, he said, Europe is failing to translate innovation into commercialization. So basically that means we're actually still really good innovators, but we then fail to take it to the next level. And I know quite a lot of German companies that are great in innovation and got the seeding to start, but when it then comes to needing more money and to actually bringing, in German we would say, PS auf die Straße, all of a sudden they have to leave. They leave Germany. So one of my favorite examples, and they talk about it themselves a lot, is Marvel Fusion, the fusion Kernfusion company, very innovative, amazing, super future-oriented. There was enough money for them to get started, and now they're going to the US just because maybe not so much the money, but regulation, talent, all of these things. There's just more of all of that in the United States. So a lot of great minds leaving the country to go elsewhere to then take things to the next level. Although we're actually higher ranked than the US when it comes to innovative capacity. So I think that's also something very interesting to look at. And it just shows we have the potential. Yes, we can do it, for sure. We just need to jointly look at how we can improve potentially regulation, data privacy. Now, these are all things that probably none of the individuals here in this room will be able to change from one day to the next. So we'll look into a little bit into what can each individual here today start already working on tonight, over the weekend, or on Monday when you come back to work. I do want to talk about this very briefly. Risk tolerance, some of you mentioned it, is so much higher or lower? Toleranzgrenze is higher. Thank you. And in Germany, risk averseness is just so dominant. We've got the can-do attitude versus the status quo preservation. I mean, in the US, people will see an opportunity and they will understand or be excited about what all they can do with it. Whereas in Germany, we look for the problem first and look into things, why things don't happen. Again, that might have been a good skill set or a good way of thinking 50 to 100 years ago. But nowadays, you have to be quicker and you have to be more courageous. Opportunity-driven, problem-oriented, as I just said. Failing fast instead of focusing on perfection. One of my startups that I founded, I raised almost €500,000, which was amazing at the time. And we set off and we built a fantastic product, right? And we built it till it was finished and perfect. And we brought it into the market, or we thought we were bringing it into the market. And then actually, nobody bought it, right? So we had to then iterate, and how much easier it would have been to bring a non-finished product into the market as a minimal viable product. Most of you here will know what that is. So basically iterating and slowly starting to refine a product, but you need to be courageous. You need to set your ego aside and say, okay, we're going to go into the market with a non-perfect product, but we're just going to see what happens. You're so much quicker and you save so much more money, but that's not a real German mindset, at least not typically and not very much seen in the past. And then, of course, we've got change is good, and then in Germany it's around Ordnung und es muss alles seine Richtigkeit haben, etc. So these are the things that are kind of holding us back. This is going to be really quick because I'm really going out on a limb, but I thought I would experiment with you guys. I think it's got a lot to do with our collective trauma. And there is so much that happened in the past 100 years that has led to us feeling the sense of wanting Ordnung, the sense of us incrementally improving things. We don't want to change a winning system, right? Or even better, so haben wir das immer schon gemacht, right? And notice the difference to what the Americans say. They say, never change a winning system. That's a different meaning. One of them is, something's working really well, let's not change it. Germans say, das haben wir immer schon so gemacht. We've always done it like this. And that's kind of really opening a big blind spot. And I think that's step one that I would like everybody to please challenge all the time. If you think, is this something that we can improve? Should we be improving this? What could, even if it's just an incremental change, be a better solution? Number two, lead by example. You also mentioned it, so you could have probably been up here holding the speech, because you also mentioned that it's a lot, and so did you, I think that's a lot about these C-levels that are not leading by example. So that's something that each and every one of you can either do if you are C-level, or hold your C-levels accountable for this. Learn from those companies that have done a good job, right? It's about agility, customer focus, data-driven decisions. Really try to mimic some of those leaders and take the best. Try to combine the best of both worlds. What are they doing well? What are we doing well? And with the German traditional type companies and ingenuities, and try to combine those a little bit. And then one of my favorite ones is learning from failure. Put your ego aside. Make sure you're okay to learn and experiment. Be bold, be courageous. And now, of course, I left my absolute favorite one to the very end. For those of you that, it's a little bit cut off, have read Patrick Lencioni's book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. It's about high-performing teams, but the whole story around it is that trust is the basis for everything. In your teams, when it comes to being bold and courageous, trying new things, trust yourself, trust your team members, trust your organizations, and and then you can be courageous, and then you can be bold, and then you can try new things, and then you're okay to fail because you trust maybe psychological safety, those kind of things come into play. It will then make it a lot easier in the interactions with your companies, in your team. So that's the summary. Take small steps and realize that nobody's going to die. It's not heart surgery, but it's about really trying and continuously improving and not waiting for perfect to happen. And then, once again, Mario Draghi, because I think the time is quite critical, right? We don't want to miss out on further digital transformation curves. And then, when you move forward and you see risk ahead of you, please take the innovation route and not the safety route. Be bold, be courageous, and that's my key message to us. Regain trust. Trust was the topic, by the way, of the World Economic Forum this year. It's all about trust in our capabilities, in each other, and then unlocking the full potential of digital transformation. Thank you.